Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday, guys. Welcome to Sundays in the Studio with Sandy. I have so missed you guys. Did you miss me? Hello. Hi, Henriette. Let's see. And Denise and Mary and Bev. Hello, Judy Thacker and Peg. I have you on YouTube and on my Facebook. Hopefully you're seeing that fine. I don't think, it does not look like it's gone live on YouTube. I think there's a little bit of a delay, it seems, because it doesn't look like I'm live there yet. There we go. Hello, guys. Oh, yes. Oh, hi, Lucy, birthday girl. Hope you've had a great week. Hello, Marie. Hi, Bev. I think I said that. Hi, Robin. And Donna and Molly Ann. Oh, so good to see you guys on. I thought, it's been a minute, right? And hopefully y'all didn't forget me. So I have got to adjust this chair. Oh my goodness. Hello, Barb Perkle, my next door neighbor watching on YouTube. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I have to be honest, it was 2 o'clock and I thought, oh my gosh, I have got to get changed and get ready. I've got a hair that is tickling my arm. The struggles of long hair. Hello, Brenda. Who did I see? Oh, hello, Bonnie. Good to see you. I cannot wait to see you in October as well. In fact, I was going to share the catalog again and information about OKC Painting Palooza. I know that mine and Lisbeth Stoll's special event, which is the opening event for OKC Painting Palooza in October, is doing very well. If you want to attend, don't wait. Numbers are really, really good. So glad you're back. What a gorgeous blouse. Oh, thank you, Henriette. You know, it was, hi, Georgie. You've got a birthday coming up, don't you? Georgie, this week, it's your birthday week. I was going to put on this black shirt. Black's kind of my color. I have to say, it's a color, it's a non-color. But I don't know, I've always worn a lot of black. So I was in the Keys, I was in Key West and then also Miami. And let me just tell you, you don't see a lot of black. There is a lot of color everywhere. I was so inspired. And so I went to my closet to find something to put on, and this is usually something I pull out in the summer, and it just was fitting for my vacation, being back from my vacation. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Lois up in Delaware. Hope you're having great weather. Thank you, Donna. I've missed you guys too. Hello, Sharon. Beachy. It is very beachy, isn't it? I love it. It's very tropical. Have zero clue. I've had it forever. I used to be a shopper, a clothes horse, and I have to say now, not so much. I don't know. I just don't go shopping for clothes a lot. Don't know why, but I will look at pictures. Like recently, when I go and teach, I'll look at pictures from 2020 was a no-go, right? But I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I wore that like in 2015. I still have clothes from when I was in, I don't think high school, but just out of high school. Things that I love, that, you know, those staples that I keep in my closet. We have gotten off on a tangent, haven't we? I look well rested. Well, thank you, Jessica. Does that mean I looked really tired before? No, I am very, very well rested. Hello, Linda. Thank you so much. I just had the best time. Have you ever been on a vacation and I was ready to come home because I was missing my brushes. I was missing being in my studio, my own bed. But I have to say, I regret not looking at the mattress tag and pillow tags on the hotel that we stayed in Key West. Hello. My husband and I both slept like babies. He sleeps like a baby anyway. I mean, his head hits the pillow and he's out. Me, I toss and turn like a dead fish. But these beds, the most comfortable bed I've ever slept in my life. Hands down, pillows, everything. So sunny Louisiana, that's so good to hear, Linda, because you guys have had some frightening weather down there, haven't you? In Louisiana. All right, so let's see, I'm on YouTube. So good, so good. Yes, I'm excited that we are on my Facebook page and then also on YouTube. And I have both screens up. It will all depend on how well my glasses work, if I can see comments. But they're coming up right now just fine. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Susan. Hi, Carol from Southern California. Call the hotel and ask them. Lucia, I think I'm going to have to. They were so comfortable. We stayed in the old part of Key West. We stayed in, they were called the Kimpton Winslow Bungalows or something like that. And it was very, very, very nice. And it was nice to stay in the old part of Key West so that we didn't have to come in every day, because let me just backtrack and say real quick, the drive out to Key West about did my husband and I in. Our patience level, I think both of us are pretty patient people. Him probably more than me. But the drive out, you have one lane out and one lane in. And when you have a slow car that's holding up 100 cars, it gets a little road ragey. So, yeah, I was driving, and it was not real fun getting out there. Once we were there, great. And then getting into Miami, and I was super excited because my husband was really excited to go to Key West, kind of on the fence about Miami. He loved Miami. And I have hundreds, I was going to say 1,000. I have hundreds of photos to share. But I have got to get them loaded so that I can put them like in albums, because I want to separate them and share the inspiration with you guys. Amazing. So that has been, 7 minutes of me talking about my shirt and my vacation. That's like living here in Maine. Are you serious, Jessica? The only thing I can equate it to is like on the Jersey Turnpike, when it's really, really small before it opens up big and there's a truck lane and a regular lane. But I've driven all over the world. I mean, in France and Germany, and I did the Channel, from England to, I've been on a lot of roads. Let me just tell you, the worst road from getting on there at, Miami, just past Miami, and going to Key West. Horrendous. So much so that the tour guides even brought it up, saying, how many of you flew? How many of you drove? And when we raised our hand, he's like, how about that drive? We hope you come back, because they say many people are like, we are never going back. What we found out though was there are flights from Atlanta. Hello, we probably would fly next time. But I was teaching in Port St. Lucie. The most amazing time was my first seminar back in person. I was like on the verge of tears, had the most amazing host and seminar chair, Marge, who I just adore. I have kind of adopted her. She doesn't know this yet, but as my new best friend, she just was so sweet, very welcoming. When you go somewhere and you're kind of unsure, like you really don't know them, but so I stayed at her home. She had everything set up for me, this beautiful room that's decked out with roses, which I love. And my towels were all nicely folded with 2 little mints. And I should have grabbed it. She painted me this nice little thankful nightlight thing, little stand, and then just a beautiful card that she handmade. Her house was beautiful with hand-painted stuff all over. Sweetest little dog. Got to meet her family, her sister and her brother-in-law, and ride on a 3-wheel motorcycle. So, like I was driving, I wasn't. I was on the back holding on to heated hand warmer things. But anyway, it was beautiful. She showed me around the ladies that were there with the Treasure Coast decorative painters. Amazing. And it was just such a good time. It was so nice to be back, like I said, painting with people. Hello, Diane from Illinois. Hi, Peggy from Arkansas. Love Florida. I've never loved to hear the pillow info. As soon as I find out the pillow info and the bed, I will let you guys know. They were the softest, but not too soft, and they weren't too firm. They were just perfect. Perfect. Have never slept on a bed or slept on a pillow like them before. It's an IHG, which I think is Hilton. Anyway, but I'm going to take Lucy's advice or just whoever said, I think it was Lucy that said, call and find out what they are because they were amazing. Slept so good. We had perfect weather. The weather was phenomenal. Thank you, Darlene. It's so good to be back. Hi, Susan. Yes, and then it was yesterday, my husband, he's just very organized, let me just say. So all the laundry's done, to include mine. And when I left to go teach, I didn't post a lot while I was there because I didn't really want to publicize that my husband and I were gone from our home at the same time, just for safety reasons. But so I went to Port St. Lucie, I taught, then he flew into in Miami, horrible airport. Sorry for all my Florida friends. I live in Georgia. I've traveled the world. I've been to many airports. Miami, you need to get with it with the signage on the outside and the inside of your airport. But anyway, enough about that. So I picked him up at the airport and then we drove to Key West. And so I didn't post a lot of pictures. I shared some with my group. I have a membership group. If you're not familiar with that, you're going to be hearing about that next week. Some this week too. I'm going to pop on a couple times this week. It'll be last minute announced. And then also next week with some Facebook Lives talking about my membership group. Okay. Hi, Janie, a member of my membership group. Many of you guys are on here, I see. What did Judy say? I got that road rage all the time on our country road. I bet, Judy. It was just the best time. So I kind of lost my train of thought of where I was headed with that, with the pictures, and don't even remember. It's that squirrel thing. But hello, Paula. Hope your e-packet made it through. I sent it just before we went on. Hi, Jolene. So when we got home, that's what it was. When we got home, laundry done. The house was already immaculately clean. For my friends that have followed me for years and years and years, when I would come home from traveling, I always had beautiful flowers. Well, my husband was with me. And the first thing he said is, you don't have any flowers at home. And I said, that's okay. We had such a fantastic vacation, very long overdue. And we met some super nice people, had great weather. Like I said, Miami did not disappoint. I have 1,000 pictures to share with you guys. We'll share them hopefully slowly over this week because I have a lot of them. So did a lot of sketching, have some lessons with my membership group coming up. We have a free member Zoom class a quarter, and we have that coming up in April. So anyway, just had a great time. So don't try to drive through Baton Rouge, Louisiana, surrounding towns. So Lucy, I've been to Lafayette twice to teach, loved it. When I lived in Memphis, we used to go to New Orleans all the time. It's not that great of a drive either, is it? So I totally get it. And I feel for the people that, hi Ann, hi Pat, I feel for the people, hi Norma, that wish you were on the west coast of Florida. I live in Bonita Springs. Aw. Well, Norma, I've been to Tarpon Springs to teach, kind of the Tampa, Pinellas area, to teach twice. Don't know that they'd have me back for a third time, but I'd love to go. Speaking of, if you have a chapter, a paint group, whatever, and you have travel teachers come in, let me know. I will travel to you to teach. We had a great time. And super, super nice. So thank you, Bag. Thank you. Welcome back, Sandy. Thank you, Marianne. I put all that together. Oh my goodness, I love that bumblebee plate behind you. Jessica, let me see if I can reach it. Do you subscribe to Pixelated Palette? If you don't, I don't think I have a link for it, but thepixelatedpalette.com. I have a lesson coming up in April because they do it every other month now, I believe. But I have this beautiful bee plate. Now, this is painted on the back, and so is the honeycomb. The daisies and the bees are painted on the front. So that's reverse painting. So you kind of get two lessons in one with that because on glass, painting on glass is a little tricky. But anyway, so that is in the April issue of Pixelated Palette. And along with that is a glass back there. I'm going to move that down here. Excuse me. If you don't subscribe, so worth it. So worth it. It's all digital. You download it, and you have all the step-by-step pictures lessons for those lessons, which for the money you pay for each subscription, phenomenal. How much is the membership group? So Norma, you can do my membership group as monthly or yearly. It's cheaper if you do yearly. It's $34 a month, $2.95 for the year. We primarily create in our art journal. And so let me just go ahead and scoop right down here to my tabletop and we'll get started and I'll finish answering Norma's question. I love glass painting too, Jessica. In fact, we're going to do that soon on one of these Sundays in the studio with Sandy, okay? So we primarily create in our art journal because I don't want you to have to go out and get, 100 different surfaces. But I do lots of different designs. We do some drawing techniques so that you don't just, paint from a pattern. You're learning how to create and draw. This is one of our drawing lessons, all about shapes. And everything's recorded and everything is there for you to go back and watch. There are 50 plus lessons for you to go back and look. Line drawings, supply list. Don't do a full-on packet, but these are just some of the lessons that we have done in my membership group. So well worth it. Any of my members in here that want to chime in, these are a couple lessons I've done here live. But we're doing Flower of the Month. I think I shared this on the last live. So, it was violets for February, daffodils for March. Again, primarily on an art journal so that you can not have to have 1,000 surfaces. However, I always encourage them to take it outside the art journal. So this is our March Flower of the Month that we did. And all the lessons, 3 to 4 lessons a month, are live in the membership group on the Facebook group. And then I also throw in some little freebie things and stuff like that. So it's just an awesome group of ladies, so encouraging, so supportive. And I get to share more with them than I get to in a 2-hour, free lesson with y'all. So we recently just did this kind of in support and solidarity of Ukraine. And so with their sunflower, and down here it has Ukraine with a little tiny map. And so this is a dictionary page and I kept it all intact. And then one of the lessons was on scroll work. So I knew I wanted to bring in some blue and then teach them, the scroll work. So anywho's, that's my membership group. We have a lot of fun. Those aren't finished yet, but they need to be finished. What is this album? So we did one lesson on how to, you don't want a plain cover for your art journal, but this is a really nice place for you to hold all of your art. Again, then you can take those lessons and those things you've learned and incorporate them onto other surfaces. So, okay, let me look real quick. Sandy's group is the best. Thank you, Molly Ann. Hello, Deb Antonick. That puppy is adorable. I subscribe to Pixelated Palette as well and love it. So worth it. Agree, Norma. Worth every single penny. Okay, so the, move that out of the way. So this is our lesson for today. This is, let me see if I can zoom out. I think I've zoomed, nope, that's the wrong way. This is the 4th in my series that I did. The other flowers I'll share with you in a minute, but I do want to take care of some of our door prizes from the Wild Iris Sundays in the Studio with Sandy lesson that we did. Oh my gosh, a couple weeks ago. So Linda's, love the art journaling group. So thankful I joined. Sandy's a wonderful teacher and so sharing of her talent and knowledge. Thank you, Linda. Like I've said, they always say that I bless them. They bless me more than they will ever know. So just a great group. What will the other 2 flowers in the series be? Ooh, and I'll share those with you today. Do you automatically renew or do I need to do it myself? Paula, it automatically renews for you. Love having you in the group. Are you on the road these days, Paula, or are you home? So we have a lesson in the membership group. We have a Tip Tuesday lesson. I share a lot of product information and stuff, and how I use it, different ways you can use it, things like that. We have that on Tuesday this week. And then on Thursday, we have a lesson at 7 p.m. with my membership group. And you can find all the information on my website right there at sandymcteerdesigns.com. Alrighty. Okay, so we had, I just put her name down, 3 giveaways the last live that I did. And so it was for the white and black transfer paper, the, I love the Uniball black, red, and white pens, and a Factus eraser. And the winner of that is Cheryl McDonald. Cheryl, just message me here on Messenger. You can email me at sandymcteerdesigns@aol.com. You can go through my website, hit the contact button, and I will get that off to you tomorrow if I get your information today. Alrighty. I usually put these names upside down, so it's a surprise. Okay, and then we had my favorite stencil brushes. These are Dynasty Stencil Pro. 5/8, 3/4, and a 1-inch, and that is Mary Jo Weevil. Hopefully I said that correctly. Thank you, Jolene. I'm so glad that you have joined the group. And oh, Paula, you're on the road. Will you be safe? You be safe. It's kind of crazy out there. Georgie, it's so worth every penny. Wonderful teacher, great members, creative lessons. What more could you ask for? Oh, and Pat, I don't want to miss yours either. I love Sandy's group. I've learned so much. Thank you, guys. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And it's nice 3 to 4 times a month for me to go live. And then we have a, like I said, a quarterly members only Zoom class. And this next one in April, we're doing something inspired from my recent trip. So it was going to be something different, which is still going to be a lesson. However, I was so inspired by the pictures I took and the things I saw that that's what I'm going to share with them. And I get to see their faces, which is nice because they usually just see mine and hear me talk. Okay, so Mary Jo, I think you're in Michigan if I'm not mistaken, right? Message me your information and I'll get these brushes off to you. And then my sweet friend Margie Pareco. I will say I had to switch out the stamp. I had a sunflower stamp here, and while I was gone, my website oversold one of the stamps, so I had to pull it because they were mine anyway. So, all right, so Margie Pareco, the Stampendous Stamps, let me know I actually have your information. Don't worry, Margie, I'll get that off to you. Okay, let's take care of giveaways for this week. All you have to do to enter is like, comment, share. Like, comment, share. That's it. If you're on YouTube, if you've not subscribed, we'd love for you to subscribe too. I think I'll get a notification and I can put you in for the drawing. All right? So, just thought you needed to see my face while I did that. Okay, so our giveaways for this week. Again, all you have to do is like, comment, share. I have 4 M2 stencils. So I'm not really looking at the comments right now. I will go back and look at those. Let's catch our breath, Sandy. Wow. That's a lot in 24 minutes and we haven't even started yet. Okay, so I have a stencil line with Tracy Moreau. And these are 4 stencils from that line, the M square line. You can also find these stencils on my website. You can also find them on Tracy's website, especially if you live in Canada, but she also ships around the world. So, anywho, there's that. So that will be one giveaway. The other giveaway, I love these brushes. You're a mess. Right? I mean, hello. And Lucy, I know you'll say how much you love these brushes. The Dynasty 3/4 and 1/2 inch. It's like a 12 flat, I would say. What I love most about these is the handle. I love that it's acrylic. Love the show. Donna Shepherd, thank you so much for those stars. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. So on Facebook now, they've just started this thing where you can send stars. And I didn't even know about it, but I was watching this lady the other day who, when she's on, she's got thousands watching her. And they just were like sharing all these stars. And I'm like, what is it with this stars? Jessica, thank you so much for the stars. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. So it's on Facebook. It's not on, it's not on YouTube, but hello, Marlene, my Memphis pal. How are you doing? Okay. Sorry, back up. Great bristles. Phenomenal brushes. Love, love, love. They're called flat washes because they're soft enough to use for watercolor, but I use them for acrylics. I've used them with oils, watercolor, you name it. Fantastic. So those two and my favorite stencil brush, the 3/4 inch Stencil Pro. So another winner for those. And then 2 Stampendous Stamps. So love this. I have to tell you, even though it's a 6x6, you can use just like this square right here. This little area works perfectly on dragonfly wings, or to give the appearance that something has a crackle when it doesn't. Hello. And then these beautiful peonies. So a third winner for those, and I will draw for those on my next Sundays in the Studio with Sandy, which will be April 3rd. Okay, so this is what we're painting today, like I mentioned, my Calla lily, and each time I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that's my favorite. I just found the stars, no clue what they do for you, but send as many as you need. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy, for the stars. It's very sweet. I see these things pop up. And Susan Malone, thank you. So they just send, it's like pennies. But anyway, and I'm looking at different charities to give that to. Alrighty, so we're going to paint a Calla lily today. If you're new here, welcome, welcome. The first in my series was this daffodil. I'm just going to use this for a second. Was this daffodil. And then silly me painted my tulip, which was the second in the series, on the other side. So same surface, same stencils, and I'm trying to keep them within the same color family. So if you get a chance here, you are showing giveaways, beautiful flower design. Oh, hello, Margot. Good to see you on. And if I missed anybody, oh, thank you, Elk. What a beautiful name for those stars. If I miss anybody on the stars, I will go back because I am trying to. Oh, it says they're helping me achieve a star party. Isn't that fun? Thank you, Bonnie, for the star on YouTube. Your comment's so cute. Anyway, so I'm trying to keep the colors the same for the most part. The flowers might be a little different. However, on our flower today, uses a lot of the same colors we've already used in the series. All right. So, and then after we did the daffodil and the tulip, we moved on to the last one we did, which was a couple weeks ago, which was the wild iris. Now, remember when I did this one, I did the live and we added a dragonfly to it, which I'm so glad that we did because it just sets it off perfectly, I think. All right. So the next in this series, I already have sketched out. Oops, not on that one. And it is going to be a stargazer lily, which is going to have a lot of those pinks and stuff in it from our tulip. And then the one after that is going to be a hydrangea. So that will be our 6. And then I've already started a new series that I will share with you guys soon. Okay, so let's move on and get going for today. Now, I want to go ahead and share with you. I did a little prep just to save some time. The surface that, oh, I drew that one out. It is on there. I'm going to put it up right here. So this is the surface I'm using. Hello, Isabel from Colombia. It's so good to see you on. Lori from New York. How do you add the frame when you've painted both sides? So Dee, the painting on both sides was an accident. I do have my tulip on a separate one from the live that I did. So I would not recommend painting on both sides, or if you want to, then you can just do one side with the frame and one side without, or leave it without. I've seen some doing this without putting the frame on it. It's completely up to you. So, love this series. Thank you, Judy. So do I. So do I. Oh, Lori, I love Stargazer lilies too. I can't wait to share the one I have for you with you guys. Okay, so let's get rid of that. That's the surface. It's from cdwood.com. It's a great thin little surface, lightweight. And I did the background exactly the same way. I'm not going to not waste our time, but I'm not going to spend time today doing hello, Rosalie, hello, Wendy, doing the background. You can go watch the other series videos that I've done. It will show you the background using the same stencils, the same stamps, and how to do it, okay? These are on my website. These M square stencils, and then I have the stamps. We used the little cancellation stamp from the Grunge script stamp, and the vintage note, okay, which has been one of my favorites for years. Love, love, love. All right, so those two stamps I used in the background. Same color in the background, which is slate gray. All right, I'm using Deco Art Americana. On the first one, and periodically I've thrown in some of the Media line, which is my favorite paint to paint with. Somebody must have shared that I sell it because I have gotten a ton of orders for it lately. But I do carry the Media line. And just to throw a couple things out there for you guys too before we get started, if you're looking for Stampendous Stamps, my favorite, you can go and find some at Deb Antonick, paintingwithdeb.ca. She's in Canada, but she ships quick and her shipping is very reasonable. All right, so if you're looking for Stampendous Stamps, there are so few places that you can go shop right now and find things in a store. So, yes, you can also use gesso to make a raise. You absolutely could paint your own frame. Absolutely. Great suggestion, Jessica. So Deb Antonick for stamps. I know that my dear friend Lana Lamb also has a selection. You are repeating on Facebook and YouTube. Not sure what is happening. Huh. Well, Bonnie, go back out and come back in. Not sure what's going on. Anybody else getting a repeat echo? Huh. I know that it is slower on one platform, Bonnie. So if you're flipping back and forth, yes, it appears that YouTube is behind Facebook. Okay. So check out Lana Lamb. And also, let me see here, brushes. So Maureen Baker. If you're looking for some Dynasty brushes, Deco Art paint, and other stuff, you can find some on maureenbaker.com. Just popping these links up and giving a little shout out so you guys can go shop with them if you're looking for something. And then also jillybean.net has a ton of Dynasty brushes. In fact, she is the Dynasty Brush Artist Coordinator. So she sells a lot more Dynasty brushes than most of us. Anywho's, all right, let's get busy. So I did the background exactly the same way. Okay, thank you for that. No repeats, no repeat. Good to hear, good to hear. So yeah, I'm watching. It's so funny because I have two screens pulled up on my big screen and YouTube is behind Facebook. And there's already a lag anyway from me moving on and what I'm seeing on Facebook. So technology, gotta love it, right? Especially when it works great. Agree, the series is great. Thank you. I love this series and I can't wait to share the next one. So did the background, same exact way. Now let me just talk real quick about base coating. So I base coated the leaf with my favorite green. Oh, this is an old bottle. Now and what I mean by that is, when you look at those two, they updated the label about 2, 3, 4 years ago. Americana was always what it's been known as. It's still Americana, fantastic acrylic paint, my go-to acrylic other than the Media line. But they updated it so that you can actually see that it's from Deco Art. So this is an old bottle. So the leaf has plantation pine, and I would say probably has 2 coats on it. Hopefully I remember how to paint this since it's been a minute. The flower I painted with warm white. And let me look behind me and see. I'm gonna have to grab, there it is. There it is, there it is. I need you to grab something else. So the flower has warm white. The stem, I left the warm white in my brush, and I'm gonna demonstrate this for you because I think it's important for you to see. I used, oh my goodness gracious, where did that color go? Seriously, left it on my other station. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Are all the flower backgrounds the same or different? Sheila, the backgrounds are pretty much the same. The placement is not the same. All right, so you might have, I tried to keep them similar so that they looked like they were a collection. When we'll be able to get the new patterns? Linda, it's going to be very soon. Okay, I have 2 deadlines, massive, major, that need to be done this week. And once I get done with those, I will get those up on my website. So I have to grab my antique green. I forgot I moved it. I forgot I moved it to the other station when I was cleaning up this morning. So antique green I used on the stem. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did and base coated that flower in and the stem because I blended them as I went, and I want you to be able to see this. Let's zoom out just a touch, just ever so light. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to get out a little bit of antique green and warm white. And then like a number 10. I'll use a number 10 flat. Paper towel. Okay, so I went ahead and I did 2 base coats of antique, ooh, little gnat, antique white in the background. And then I'm gonna take, and you can leave, like I see I left a little sliver, but what I highly recommend when you're base coating, go with the flow and the shape of something. So if you're here, don't just willy-nilly, come in and start base coating that area. Pull the brush in the direction that that flower is. Because what happens is you see the strokes of your brush and that paint, and it gives you some guidance, okay? So in this area, I just did 1 layer of warm white, and I'm actually going to turn this to keep my hand out of the way. Come up right up underneath here. Oop, right outside the line, Sandy. All right, so now, once I got to about there, I just wiped off my brush. Thank you, Anne. I picked up some antique green, came down here, and I just started base coating in my stem. And then once you get about here, you're going to go like that. That's called lifting as you're pulling, because you're flicking that wet paint into wet paint. So what's going to happen is I still have some of that warm white on my brush. I can come back in, get the rest of that stem based in with that antique green. I'm on the chisel edge, need to go flat down here. I'm not worried about the leaf because I can always come in and fix that up with my shading. And then I'll just flick it. I'm going to wipe it off, come back down here with my warm white. And so right where these 2 meet, you just want that to flow and blend. So I'm wiping off my brush, picking up just ever like the slightest touch of warm white. Because on calla lilies, on that, I don't know how to explain it other than it's a tubular flower. It's got that tube kind of at the base. And there are so many different calla lilies. I started to paint a pink one and I thought, nah, I really want it to be lighter with tints of pink. So that's what I did. And let's get that on. Okay, so remember I said if I get on my leaf, that's okay, because I'm gonna show you how to fix it up. And then just swipe it up. So calla lilies bloom, they're normally painted in spring, and they bloom early summer for the most part, but they said it just depends on where you live, because I was just in Florida, and let me tell you, there were a lot of calla lilies everywhere. I have some here in Georgia, and I buy them at the store often because they're grown in South America. So you can get them pretty much year round, especially depending on where they're brought in from. Hello, that's a little bit too much green. So I'm just pulling some more warm white up, but I want to keep those streaks because that's really going to help with the overall look of that flower. Do that, just wipe it with your finger. And that's probably about 10 passes more than I did for the original. But just to give you an idea of how that just kind of flows and moves right into that. Hello, Joyce. Good to see you on. Good to see all of you on here today. All right, so let's move that out of the way. Now, in the background, like I mentioned, I have that white that I got on there. So I'm just going to rinse that. Oh, just flipped that over. Hello. I just flipped a little glass of water. Alrighty. I will come in and clean this up. So that's why I went ahead and I did the leaf first. And we're going to do the stem first, just to get that done and out of the way, and then we can take care of that leaf. Okay, so you can clean it up. The thing is too, I can shave that to make it a little bit smaller, but this picture that I was going from had a really nice hardy calla lily stem. So that's what I went with. So when we get up in here, again, you can 2-3 coats of that warm white just to give you a nice opaque look. All right. Hi, Linda Sprouse. Good to see you here. We call those ditch bank lilies because they grow wild and out of control. Oh, I didn't know that, Donna. Huh. Very cool. Okay, so we have our plantation pine, and then my go-to, which is the Media Line Payne's Gray. You can use Americana Payne's Gray, whatever Payne's Gray you have. This is my go-to. Just love it. How many are going to have this? Right now, Joyce, 6. The next one is a Stargazer Lily, and then I have a hydrangea, because I can't do a series and leave out my favorite flower and my favorite flower to paint, which is a hydrangea. Okay, so on the stem, we're going to get the plantation pine, Payne's Gray, a little bit of matcha green. I do have the e-packet for this, step-by-step pictures, step-by-step instructions on my website. Excuse me, and I'm going to turn this because I want to keep my hand out of the way for you guys, but also show you my palette. So that's going to be a little tricky, huh? Let me move that there. I'm going to take a 3/8, let's find it, 3/8 angle. 3/8 angle. Okay, if you're not familiar with an angle, it has a heel and a toe. The toe is longer, and we're going to float the color on with that. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to load that toe with some plantation pine, a little bit of Payne's Gray, and you just want to blend that together. Now notice how I'm blending it just on that toe. Pick up a little more green because we don't want it black. I'm going to flip the brush over. Oftentimes if you double load like this, your brush can go a little wonky. Just save yourself some time. Load it like that, and then I'm just going to slightly walk it to the right so that it's not as dark as there. I want it about that dark. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right up that, get a touch more water in my brush. You do want a little bit of moisture in your brush so that the paint comes off and moves. Too much, and it's not going to give you a nice flow of color. It's just going to bleed everywhere. Now this might take a couple passes, but I'm just going to bring that color right up that side of the stem. And then as I near that area, I want to be careful too. I don't want to just stop. So I'll show you two things you can do. Get a little bit more. I'm loading my brush exactly the same way I showed you. About right there, I'm going to slide it up. I'm going to swipe my finger. Okay, so slide it up and pull it. Lift as you're pulling. Now we'll just kind of blend it right in. Okay, right there. Now we're going to do a shadow on the other side of that as well on the leaf. So I'm not too fussed if I get that on the leaf or not, but I just want that to flow right into that base of that flower. Let me turn it over so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. My number one rule in painting is if you like it, leave it. So even if you do a little something different, or yours goes up a little higher, or your floating's a little bit bigger, or comes over a little bit more, that's okay. If you like it, 1000% leave it. Hello, Jeannie Sladko, good to see you on. Okay, so I'm actually going to switch to my 1/2 inch angle. It's just a bigger angle brush. I'll show it to you in a second. I'm going to load it with the same colors on the toe. Plantation Pine, Payne's Gray, right on that toe. I just switched to a bigger brush because I feel like I was struggling with that 3/8 in that area. So look how much better that's going on for me. Swipe it and let it flow right into that base of that flower. Okay, so let's turn that over so you can see it. Oh, I love it. And I love that right there. So guess what? I'm going to leave it because that's my rule. I don't have a lot of rules in painting. My number one rule is if you like it, leave it. Really, my number one rule is painting's supposed to be fun, right? If it's not fun, then we need to switch it up. So now on this side, I want to do a little bit of a little highlight without it being too much of a highlight. Okay, because I want my brightest highlight in the center of that stem. So I'm going to pick up a little Plantation Pine, a little Matcha Green that I should have shook a little bit better, and a little touch of Warm White. Now, the reason I used the Plantation Pine with that Matcha Green is I don't want the highlight to be that bright just yet. Okay, so I'm going to pull that down that left side of the stem. Not worried about the leaf. If it gets on that leaf, it's okay. And same thing, when you get about there, you're just going to swipe it up. You can also take your finger and just do that. Just very lightly. This isn't what I'm not doing this, pushing it and pulling that up. It's a light touch, and I'm going to start down here. I'm just going to swipe my finger. So look at how that just feathers right into that wet. And it's not real wet, the Warm White. Where are you getting your stencils? Jeannie, I have them on my website. So I have a stencil line with Tracy Moreau. I love your attitude to painting. It's great. Thank you, Yvonne. Like I said, it's supposed to be fun. There was a time when it wasn't fun for me, and I had to figure out. A lot of it was just an attitude adjustment, but then also the ways and style and loosening up in my style. I would say loosening up in my style, loosening up in my attitude, right? If you sit down and you're stressed because you've got to paint something, you need to give yourself a little pep talk and then do maybe a little adjustment. Okay, so again, where that stem is meeting the leaf, we will take care of that with a shadow. Okay, so if you go over it, don't worry about it. But again, what I want you to see is a little bit of that highlight on that side, a little bit of that darker side that I just flicked and swiped right up into the base of that tubular part of the flower. Then I'm going to take a Mezzaluna brush. If you're not familiar with the Mezzaluna brush, and you'll see this all the time, if you don't have paint on your fingers, you need to put paint on your fingers because that means you had fun. So, Mezzaluna brush, this is my go-to for dry brushing. It's a blend of a stiff and soft bristle. And I'm going to load that up first with, and I'm using my Gray Matters paper palette. I get these on Amazon. It's been my go-to palette as long as I can remember. Just love, love, love it. I'm going to do the same thing first with the Plantation Pine, Antique Green. Mix that together. Pick up a little bit of Warm White. Mix that in. And then you want to take almost all of it off. Now, when you're wiping it on a paper towel, just like with the stencil brush, you want to wipe it on a dry paper towel. Okay, now you might not see a big difference in our stem color. I'm going to put out a little bit of titanium white as well. But now what I want to do is right there in the center, I'm just going to dry brush a little bit here and there. What I'm not doing is starting here and going all the way down. I have got a hair. I really could build a wig with the hair that falls out on my head. It has for decades, so no problems with it. But anyway, so right there in the center, I just want to do a little bit of a highlight. Okay, not that big of a difference, right? But now I'm going to do, instead of Plantation Pine, I want to pick up just Antique Green, a little bit of a little bit of Titanium White, which is going to make it brighter. So see the difference? Plus I didn't use Plantation Pine in the mix. Wipe almost all of it off. It's the best palette paper genie, isn't it? Okay, a little bit in the center, a little down there. I'm gonna wipe that off. Some matcha green. Look how pretty that is. A little bit of Titanium White. And the thing when you get done painting a design, one of the last things I do, evaluate your highlights and your shadows. So look at them and see, ooh, do I need a little bit more bright? If that's your first thought, look at your darks. Your darks might be a little on the light side, and adding a darker shadow makes your your highlights brighter sometimes, and vice versa. So, okay. Now I'm going to switch. That's a little on the big side. I'm going to switch to this medium. I think I was using a large and I need a medium. I want to make that same mix, matcha green, white, wipe it off. Paint on the fingers is Sandy's signature. Right, Judy? You know it. Paint on the fingers and gesso. Okay, so there we go. It's better. Okay, so a little bit of a highlight there. And then, again, I like to swipe it up and down. It helps blend it. It helps move it. It also helps keep from getting a start and stop line. Okay. All right. There's our stem for right now. I'm going to add a few more colors later. So let's go ahead and tackle this leaf. So just make sure it's all in the frame there. I'm going to push that up just a touch. Excuse me. Rinse that out. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and take care of this one. I was going to wait till I had the color on my palette, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on. Asphaltum. A little bit of Asphaltum. I will take that on my 1/2-inch angle brush on the toe only. Work that in. I move down here just so you can see a little better. Okay. And I'm going to put that on that darker side of the stem, again, just to give it a little bit more earthy feel. And the cool thing is when that brushes over that highlight in the center, you also get a really pretty look. Okay, so I'm going to take that up and then I'm just going to swipe it right up into that tubular part of the flower. Okay, can you see the difference with that asphaltum on there? Again, it just gives it a more earthy, natural look. So, love it. Now on this leaf, we have a flip. And that flip, I brushed over with just the paint color, Plantation Pine. All right, so when you transfer the pattern on, if you got the pattern, which for those that did, thank you very much. I had to wait for my website to finish maintenance to get it loaded. I can see my line, but basically it goes from here and I'm just going to kind of improvise where I can't see a line. And the toe of that brush has Payne's Gray on it and a touch of Plantation Pine, just a touch. And I'm going to bring that right to the edge like that. Okay. Now what that's going to do is it's going to help define that flip. Let's fix that up for us. Okay, so see how all of a sudden we have that flip on our leaf. Between you and Tracy, I have a ton of asphaltum. Oh goodness, Linda, I know it is a hard color to come by. I sell it on my website for that reason, because it is a difficult color to come by, but because most stores don't carry it. But it's a great, great color. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to take that same color combination, and I'm going to float that color. So my leaf goes like this. I can only see the middle of that leaf until there, right? Because then it's covered by the stem. So I'm going to take that Plantation Pine and Payne's Gray. I'm going to slide from about there. Get my hand out of the way. And I'm going to slide that down to, and keeping my hand out of the way, I can't see where I'm heading. I want to go to about right there. So I'm gonna cheat. Okay, let me cheat for a second. I'm gonna draw myself a line with the chisel edge of the brush, which I never do when I float color, because then it looks like you have a line. But I'm gonna take that, give myself a little bit of a line so that when I turn it over, I have a path of where I'm going. Go right to there. And then just take your finger and swipe it just right down that stem. Okay, so I have a little bit of, it's kind of difficult to see that a little. Some Plantation Pine, some Antique Green. Picked up matcha and didn't mean to. Need some Antique Green, some Warm White, and I worked that in on the toe. So let me say that again. Some Plantation Pine, some Antique Green, some Warm White. You could use matcha too if you wanted to. The thing is, if it's too bright, you can always come back and just do a wash of Plantation Pine over it. And that will help tone it down. So see how my brush isn't moving? It needs a little bit of moisture. So just add a tiny touch of water. Lay that brush flat. Swipe it up. Okay, so you have a little bit of a stem vein, not a stem, excuse me, a vein going down that leaf. Now we want to take care of the sides. So I'm going to take a number 12 flat, get it wet, dry it off, and I like to run that through my fingers, make sure I don't have enough, that I don't have too much water. If water's dripping down your fingers, you have too much water. All right, so I want to come over to my palette here so you can see it. I'm going to take the flat of that brush. I'm going to pick up some Plantation Pine. Do you see how little I'm picking up? It's not fully loaded. I'm going to pick up a little bit of Antique Green. I'm going to work that in both sides. Pick up a tiny touch of Warm White. Okay. Thank you, Yvonne, for those stars. Greatly appreciate that. If you're on Facebook, at the bottom where you can write a comment, there's something that says send stars. Okay, so see how I just pulled that? Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of Plantation Pine on my brush. And what I want to do is just slightly re-wet this leaf. So I'm not base coating it in again. I'm just pulling a little bit of that Plantation Pine. Oops, a little too much water in your brush, Sandy. On that side. Then Plantation Pine, Antique Green, a little bit of Warm White. Mix that together. I already can tell I have too much. When I feel like I have too much on my brush, I just lightly swipe a paper towel. Come here. Now I'm angling everything to this point right down here. Right down here. That's the base of that leaf. So I'm going to start with the chisel edge on the brush, on the chisel edge of the leaf, and I'm going to pull. So see how much better that moves when your base is a little on that wetter side. Okay, and we'll take care of this side, then we'll move to the other. Then what I'm gonna do is take a little bit of plantation pine, matcha green, just a little, and this time a little touch of white. Again, swipe that in. Again, want to point out how little paint I have on my brush. Thank you, Debbie James. Swipe it across your paper towel just to get rid of some of that excess. I am going to come back up here. Oops, little too much. But you saw the easy fix, right? All you have to do is swipe it with your fingers. I'm going to pick up a little bit of green because I don't think I added any green up here. This is plantation pine. Then I'll come right back, and while it's wet, touch and swipe, touch and swipe, touch and swipe. Now, I don't want to go down the whole thing. I'm going to skip a little space. Swipe your finger. And when you swipe it, you're going to swipe it at an angle as if you're angling it right to the base of that leaf. I love painting wet on wet. Okay, it just blends and it's just beautiful. So let's get that brush back out, the 12. Pick up some plantation pine on this side. And again, I'm just gonna loosely get that a little bit wet. Wipe off my brush. I'm gonna pick up some plantation pine, a little bit of antique green, little touch of warm white. Swipe it across my paper towel. I'm going to turn this slightly. Chisel edges. Oh, I need to turn it more so my hand's out of the way. Again, everything goes towards the base of that leaf. So I'm going to start on the edge there, and I'm going to pull, 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 and sometimes I'll help it along. Pick up a little bit more. Even in this area right here that's got a little bit of a shadow, I still want that coloring. So I'm just going to lightly pull the flat of that brush. Okay, so I'll turn it around so you can see in a second. Wipe off the brush, a little touch of plantation pine. I always want to show you my palette because my little touch might be little or different than your little touch. Plantation pine, matcha green, tiny touch of white. It's a lot of white, Sandy. Pick up a little of the other colors. Swipe it across your paper towel. And remember, we're not going to go all the way down the leaf. We're going to touch, touch, and swipe. Now, I'm not going to go all the way down with that color down into here because it's a little darker there, right? I feel like I need to bump that up. And then this is something I do often and don't think about it, so I don't write it down. But a lot of times I'll take that if I like that color and I'll, slide it on the stem. I could even take it, if I like that, and slide it up the tubular part of that flower. Okay, let's turn that around so you can see. So see how simple and easy that just came together? Okay, let's go back to our angle brush. So I'm going to use the 3/8 angle. Thank you, Samina. What a beautiful name. Okay, so I'm going to take my 3/8 angle, pick up a little bit, forgot where I was going, plantation pine, a little bit of matcha. See, I have too much water in there. A little plantation pine, a little bit of matcha, and I'm being very bad. You see all that? It's something I usually don't do. Try and go to the side of my paint instead of contaminating all of it. This time I'm gonna pick up a little bit of warm white and work that in. So it's only on the toe of the brush. Work it in, flip it over, work it in. See all that water? It means I have too much water in my brush. So you want to take a paper towel, just lightly tap it, get rid of some of that water. Okay? Hi, Meninder. Wow, y'all just, some of these names are just gorgeous. All y'all's names are gorgeous, but wow, very pretty. Okay. I want to highlight this section right here. Excuse me, I just hit my camera. I want to highlight that highlighted edge of that flip. So I'm going to start right here on the edge of that leaf. Oops, still a little too much water. slide with the chisel edge right along the edge of that leaf. And then I'm going to lay that brush flat at an angle. So see how it's flat at an angle, so I can highlight that flip. That was plantation pine, matcha green, warm white. And right up the edge of that leaf. Okay, so subtle. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love doing them. I miss doing them. In fact, I was going to do a Facebook Live from Miami. Let me just dry this real quick. I love, love, love my favorite heat tool. Was going to do a live from Miami. However, my husband, bless him, the most patient man in the world, deals with my art and everything on a daily basis. So I really tried to disconnect and just spend really good quality time. And we had, like I said, the best time. So anyway, okay. Hi, Gilbert. Thank you so much. All right, so now I'm going to pick up on the 3/8 angle. I'm going to pick up a little bit of antique green and warm white. We're going to start brightening this up just a little. Here's a trick too. You can always pinch that corner, the heel, if you need to get a little bit of that water off. Typically when I do that, I do take too much, and then I find I don't have enough. So we want to brighten up this flip here. And I work in layers, so I like to layer color on top of color. I think you get great depth when you do that instead of a one and done. Okay, and that toe is right along that flip. Turn my brush, get my hand out of the way for you. And you can help it along if you need to. Okay, so get a little bit of that flip going on there with that highlight, just makes it stand out even more. We'll dry that. We have one more pass with light, and then we'll add some dark on the back end. Yes, Carol, he did. He did. I think he greatly appreciated it. So, and it was nice. However, I was going through withdrawals. I have to admit, because I'm usually so connected with everybody, especially my members in my membership group. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to talk to them and jump on a live, but it was for the best. Okay, so now I just wiped off my brush, which means I still have that color in there, right? I'm going to pick up a little bit of matcha green, some white this time, titanium white instead of warm white. It's going to make your color brighter. The warm white's going to tone it down a bit. So if you want it brighter, switch to that titanium white to mix. And again, I'm just going to brush that down, slide it up if I need to. You don't want to end up with a line. See, I'm not going on the chisel edge. If I do that, you end up with a line. You want it to bleed. You want there to be a gradation in color. So it might look like my hand is up and I'm on that chisel edge. I'm not. Okay. Ooh, that got really white right here. But I love when things like that happen because I can show you how to fix them. Because if you do that at home and you're like, ooh, that's too bright, and you feel like you got to repaint the whole leaf, there's a fix. Okay, so I'm going to rinse my brush out. Let's dry that. What can you substitute for any antique green? Connie, I have antique green. I don't have it on my website, but I do have it. If you want it, message me, let me know. But antique green is a difficult color. There used to be, if you have olive green, you can use olive green. It's a different color. I would say the closest thing to it for me would be Deco Art's olive green. Okay. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get that brush wet. And I don't care if I have this on the whole brush. It's slightly wet. I'm going to have that plantation pine, which is transparent. And let's come back over that flip. Now look what that does to that flip. You get that really nice highlight, but it's toned down. See, and it just, oh, I love that. Okay. But now what I want to do is I want to give it a little bit of that earthy color like we did the stem. So I'm going to take that same brush, pick up a little bit of asphaltum. So if you're in desperate need for asphaltum, and you need it like yesterday, Michael's sells designer finishes kits at in their paint section. Now the designer finishes kits, I need a baby wipe, sorry. I just scooped up a bunch of white with my fingernail. The designer finishes kits have 4 bottles of paint to them. Sometimes it's a metallic, sometimes it's the vintage effects. What they have in it, in one of them, is asphaltum. You can look on the back and it'll show what colors are in it. So because I know that because I needed one. Well, I know that because I work with deco art, but also I know that because I needed an asphaltum and I didn't have any. And I went to Michael's and I got the designer finishes kit. And that's, after that I ordered it and I have it on my website now. Okay, so I'm taking that asphaltum on my angle brush, and on the back side of that flip, so the back side of that leaf, I'm just going to pull up a little bit of that asphaltum. Now, if it gets on that flip, great. Because remember what, that asphaltum and that light green, when they mix, they just give you the prettiest, most natural look. It's very earthy looking. So hopefully that shows up on camera well enough for you guys. Looks better with the green over it. Oh, I totally agree, Julie. And that's why when I went real bright, I was very happy that I got to show you how to tone it down. You can also do the same thing with the antique green. If you want it to be a little bit on that more olivey side, you know, a wash of that antique green right over it will do the same thing. Okay, let's take care of right here. So where those two things meet, our stem and our leaf, we need to separate. So I'm going to take my larger 1/2-inch angle brush. I'm going to come in here and pick up some Payne's Gray and a tiny touch of Plantation Pine. More Payne's Gray than Plantation Pine. And I'm going to slide that down right where those two meet to put that stem wrapped around that leaf. A little bit of a shadow right there. Okay, so see how that makes that stand out even more? Now, I didn't do too much over here. However, you could add a little bit of a shadow. I wouldn't say shadow as much as just separating the two right in here. Not as dark. I'll just put a little, and then I'll just swipe my finger. Okay, so hopefully that's showing up. Thank you, Paula. So do I. I love being able to see you guys here on YouTube and on my Facebook. Alrighty. Shall we tackle the flower? Let's do the flower first and then we'll go on to the bee. Now, I have to say the flower is very easy. When I was painting it, I changed my mind on a couple of things and a couple of colors, but it really is a pretty straightforward. I am going to zoom in. Straightforward with not a lot on it. Well, it has a lot of color on it, but you could easily overwork it. Let me just say that. Okay, so we're going to put some colors on. We're going to do a wash over. We'll put some colors on, and then we will pull some color over it to brighten it up. So I just took a sip of that Diet Coke and it's right at my throat. I'm going to pick up a little bit of asphaltum on my 3/8 angle brush, just a little, too much water. Wipe that off. A little bit of asphaltum. If you don't have asphaltum, I would say take a little burnt sienna and add a tiny touch of burnt umber to it. Okay. It's not Asphaltum is not as bright and light as burnt sienna, but it's not as dark and boring and dull as burnt umber, which is my least favorite color. Okay, so what I want to do with that, I don't have a lot on there. I want to come right in here. There's a flip. Okay, so I want to brush in some of that asphaltum. I can already tell it's a little too much. I'm gonna wipe off my brush. And I'm just gonna softly go over it. How far did I have that? Now, a lot of this is gonna get covered up, so don't worry about, oh my gosh, too dark. Okay, I'm just gonna softly bring that up, swipe that with my finger. Okay, you could, let's pull that down. You could take a mop brush. Just don't know if I have one handy. You know, and kind of mop that out just by tapping it, just to soften it. But what I'm going to do is come back with some green. Let's dry this just in case. Okay. I'm going to come back with that 3/8 angle and some antique green on the toe of the brush only. Just kind of work that into the toe of the brush. Okay, and then right down here, kind of in the center. So the toe that has color is down. And I'm doing like a little, kind of like I'm writing the letter U. It's just a soft little stroke. I'm not pushing hard. I want that color to come from the center slightly up to add a little bit of that green in there. Okay, so can you see that? Hopefully so. Let's do that. Happy hubby, happy life. Absolutely, Linda. And I got a good one. I don't need to do anything to mess that up. Okay. So rinse that out. This, I just want to show you how to define it. A lot of times as I'm designing, and even if I'm painting something for the second or third time, if you give yourself some guidance, so like I know there's a flip right here, and as I'm painting this, all I can see is that that's one. So I'm going to help myself out, and I'm going to show you how I help myself out. I'm going to pick up a little bit of, little touch of water. Thank you, Jeannie. I love the leaf too. A little bit of asphaltum. Okay, stop, Sandy. I have so many runways. I try and keep my palette clean. See, that's a little dirty for me. So a little bit of asphaltum, tiny touch of antique green. And let's just put a little bit of this right underneath this flip. And then I'm just going to swipe down. So see, I put that on and swipe it down. Just help yourself out. So you know that that's going to be there, and then just swipe it down. There. Okay. So let's go back up to our flower. So I'm going to take my, medium. Oh, that's a large. Let me move that one out of the way. That's why I got in trouble earlier with that too big on that stem. So this is a medium. I'm using a small and a medium. So the medium Mezzaluna, I'm going to use Joyful Pink. Now, if you don't have this, you can use magenta. In the media line, quinacridone magenta is my favorite. I'm trying to just stick with one line of paint so that you don't have to keep flip-flopping back and forth if you're painting this series with me. I'm going to pick up just a touch. So that's enough pink for all of us online to be painting. All right. I'm going to pick up a little bit and I'm going to work that in. Absolutely, Molly Ann, and we have 10 of them, right? So, well, we have 8. We have 2 thumbs. I don't do a lot of that. So I want to take a dry paper towel and I want to wipe off that paint. So what I want to do is I want to pull in the direction the flower is growing. So I'm going to pull from here, and I'm swooping that brush. So it's touch. Hopefully you can hear it. There's very little on it. I'm just swooping that toward the base of that flower. A little bit on that side, pick up a little more, work it in, wipe almost all of it off. And a good tester, if you come here and you see a lot of color, you know you have too much. Okay, it's easier to add more. It's a lot more difficult to get the look with too much. We want that texture, a little bit of that scraped texture from dry brushing. Okay, so a little of that pink on there. I'll put a little bit on here. Oops, see, that side had a little too much. That's okay, I'll show you how to fix it. And it's not even a fix, we're gonna layer, so. Okay, now I'm gonna take that and let's go ahead and just add a little bit on that tubular part. And since we're at it, let's just put a little on our stem. And if I have any left, I'll sit there and put it on the leaf. Again, I do that a lot just to put those colors other places. I love that softness and harmony that it adds in your painting, okay? So now we will come to our 10 flat. So Lucy, you don't have the Mezzaluna brushes? I thought you had those. It is not as stiff. I would say it's pretty equivalent to the Tracy's Fugly brush, the encaustic. So it's got a bristle to it, but it has a little soft bristle with it. So it's not as stiff. If you're in watercolor, they have one called a scrubber. It's not that stiff. You can still move it. See it, you know, I can push it down like I can this brush, but it's the greatest dry brush. And you wear them out. I mean, I wear mine out all the time. You can use a flat brush, you know, just make sure you wipe off all the paint. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my number 10 flat. I'm going to pick up some warm white, and I'm going to work that into my brush over here. Okay, good. So you can, why does that say? That's funny. It hid your comment, Lucy, because you said fugly. Isn't that funny? Hello. Okay, so I'm taking it from just like I started showing you when I base coat and I pull with the shape of the flower. See how that toned that pink down? It made it part of that flower instead of just sitting on top. It takes a little bit of that sketchy, scratchy look away too. I love the sketchy, scratchy look, but it will help take a little bit of that wet away, and again, just tones that flower the way I want it. Okay, so just like that. And I have not forgotten our little, our leaf here, or the little green on this flip. When I do that, I'll show you the tip of the leaf. All right. So again, just a little bit of that warm white. I could even come in, I want to come in with just a little bit of pink right there. I could dry brush, but I'm being lazy. I'm picking that brush up just right there on that little flip there. Okay, so I'm going to rinse that out. Now what I'm going to do is come back in. I want to pull a little bit more color from the center out. So I'm going to come back in with a little bit of the antique green and a tiny touch of plantation pine. Little antique green, little plantation pine. Thank you, Molly Ann. Okay, and I'm just going to swipe it. And I'm going to pull it from the center up. Again, swipe with your finger. We don't want too much. Swipe it with your finger there if you need to. Like, I'm drying my brush off there and still a lot of color coming out. Okay, again, if you need a little there. I feel like I need a little bit of depth there. It's almost like you can stick your finger right in it. All right. Just look up at. I'm glad you said you wear yours out. I thought I was being too hard. No, Brenda, I wear mine out all the time. Hello, Pat. You're not, well, you're late, but that's okay. And it'll be on replay. You can go back and watch the other beginning later. All right, I want a brighter highlight on my stem. I have to remember to do that. Okay, so I put a little bit more color in the center. Now I want to come back with that 10, and this time I'm going to pick up white. So remember, before I picked up the warm white, now I'm going to pick up the titanium white, and I want to work that in. And then I'm going to start there and just lightly pull. Again, everything going toward the center of that flower. Very light. I'm not pushing and pulling. It's a very light touch. I've got to go there and over. Let me get my hand out of the way. There and over, there and over, there and over. Okay, so see how that just brightened up the back of that flower? We want to do the same thing along the front here. I'm just going to swipe it just like that. And then I also want to come in here and I just want to swipe a little bit on that tubular part of that flower, but where it meets the stem, swipe down. Okay, I don't want anything too bright just yet. And swipe down. Okay, so I'm going to rinse that out. I don't have too much luck with the dry brushing. I keep practicing. Can you do a wash instead? Norma, you could absolutely do a wash. In fact, good segue into, if you do your pink and you're like, ugh, that's a little on the bright side, you can come in with a little bit of asphaltum, and my brush is quite wet, and you could even do a little bit of that asphaltum wash. So same thing, if you don't want a dry brush and you want to put the pink on, you can do the same thing. Just add a little bit here and there. Have a paper towel ready so that you can touch it to lift some of that color. Biggest tip I can give you, and you've already said it, Norma, is practice. Practice you'll get better, and it will, I promise it will get better. Build your layers. If you're finding that you're too heavy-handed and you have too much paint, wipe some off. If you go to dry brush and you don't have anything, then just remember next time, oh, I need to, not wipe as much off, and then build your layers. Add another layer on top. So, sorry, asphaltum, tiny touch of Payne's Gray. I have very little on my brush, but I do want to bring a little bit down there, and I want to darken that right there. So let's dry that. The other thing is dry brushing doesn't work well when your underneath is wet. So if your underneath part that you've painted is wet, you need to dry that before you try and dry brush on top. So right now I just have a line. I really want to come in and pull down a little bit of that asphaltum and Payne's Gray. And then I'm going to swipe my finger, because I really love on my original, I love, it's subtle and dark there, but then when I take my finger and swipe it, what happens is you get some lines that come down. Again, just giving it a more natural look. A little bit under that flip. And swipe. Okay. Now, doing it that way and swiping it and using your finger means that a lot of times when you paint it a second time, it's going to look slightly different. Fantastic. Pat yourself on the back. That's what you want. You don't want them all looking cookie cutter. A little bit in there, just add some more depth. Okay. Now I'm going to come back to my small mezzaluna. They come in 4 sizes, small, medium, large, extra large. I do have them on my website. And speaking of, if you use ART, all capital, A-R-T, on my website, you get a discount. The only thing it doesn't work on is the membership, my membership group. Okay, so the small mezzaluna, I want to pick up some white, and I'm going to work that in, wipe it off, and right in the center here, I'm going to start just dry brushing, and I'm kind of going all over, left, right, up, down, sideways, because I don't want to have a line. You know, if I go this way, I'm going to have a line, right? So I'm going in all directions. I want to brighten up this area right here. I'm reloading, wiping off. And so as you build that color, see how you can start to see it a little bit more? I'm not pushing super hard either. Okay, if you mash, let me see, I do have something on the side there. Let me go on this black, it might show up a little better. If you're really, really pushing, this is paper, so it's going to be a little different. But if you're pushing really, really hard, what happens is that the paint will come off in one area. It's a little bit harder to move it. So, soft. As I start feeling like or looking like I'm running out of paint, I will push a little bit harder. And then when I feel like nothing's coming off, I'll reload it. Okay, so a little bit brighter there. I also am going to add a little bit of matcha to that, but more white, because I love on my original this highlight right here. It's a little bit more of a highlight on my stem. Yes, I just licked my finger, swiped that down. Not that my paintings would ever, be evaluated, but if they were, my DNA is all in them. Okay? That's that mama in you that, lick your finger and wipe the face. Okay, so right back up here, I want a little bit more white here. And then I'm going to take that same, and actually let me leave a little more white on. And I'm going to just touch in a few places that will kind of help break up that white a little. That pink. Give it a little bit of texture and give it a little bit of brightness. Okay, alrighty. Now you can continue to add the pink. You can continue, and I added more layers. So I'm going to take that brush, wipe it off. Again, touch and pull. And notice how I'm not going around the whole thing. I just want it. This flower was gorgeous that I had a picture of. And it just had touches of it here and there, but not everywhere. Again, little on that stem. Little on the leaf. I know you can't see it. I'm down there putting a little on the leaf. Alrighty. Last little pass with some color, and we're going to do that stamen. I'm going to go to my 10 flat. Pick up some white. Swipe it across my paper towel. And I'm just going to pull, maybe skip a couple places. Pull some of that white. Again, everything coming toward the base of that center. A little bit there. And then let's I do want to bump this up. And there. Okay. Oh, loving that. Now, on my original, one thing I am loving that I don't have yet is I like this green over here. And then once I got all the way done, I thought, oh, it needs a pop of turquoise, or aqua. So I brought a little bit of that in. So I'm going to rinse that number 10 brush, keep a little bit of water in it. Okay, so come over to my palette and I'm going to pick up a little bit of antique green, work that in. Nice and inky, not a lot of paint. fact, you can't even see it on my brush, right? It's just very, very little. Swipe it across the paper towel. I'm gonna start right up here and I'm just gonna swipe down. Just right there. Wipe off. Pick up a little bit of matcha. Again, my brush has a little bit of water in it. A little bit of matcha green. Work that in. Tap my paper towel just to get rid of that excess. Swipe a little bit of that on. I'm just going to take that right down that stem. And then let's take a little bit of peacock teal, because I mean everything looks better with peacock teal or aqua or Bahama blue or any of those. Oh, they're just so pretty. Okay. I'm looking at that on camera. I don't know. I need to tone that down just a little. So I have my brush, some warm white, and it's just a wash. I'm just going to lightly brush over it. It'll keep the dark, but it will bring it all together. That's what I feel like it's missing right there. There. Okay, so same thing with the peacock teal. I'm going to pick up just a little bit, work that in to my brush that has a little bit of water on it. Swipe my paper towel. And right here, I'm just going to touch and pull just a light stroke. I'm not pushing. It's like a tickle of a feather. Okay. Pick up a little more. Swipe it off of my paper towel. I do want to bring this on this stem and a little on the leaf. And when it hits that light green, oh, just adds new life to it. Okay. All right. So thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Rennie. Time to go pick up the daughter. Oh, thanks, Jessica. Have a fantastic day. Hopefully I'll see you Tuesday night. Here and there, but not everywhere. I know I should have that printed, right? Here and there, not everywhere. It's one of my things I've always said. Okay, let's take care of that little stamen. So I'm going to go to my number, what is this? This is a 4 flat. Actually, it's a 5, but it'll work. Oh, there's my 4. Okay. I have to tell you guys, I was super, super bad. You know, I went and taught at Port St. Lucie, and I put my brushes in my holder, and I thought, oh, I'll wash this when I get back to Marge's house. Completely left them. So that was 10 days. Came home. I had rinsed them in my water basin, but that right there saved my brushes. I came home, gave them all a bath, and so water in my brush, did that, gave them a nice little massage. Those brushes were so happy. Washed all of that out, wiped it off, and they were like new. So that is the Masters brush cleaner. You can get that at Michael's. You can get it online. General Pencil sells it. They were sweet enough to send me some, and it saved my brushes. I was so bummed when I saw them that I had done that, because I try and take care of them. We need a new color. We need deep ochre. If you don't have this, you can use yellow ochre. It's just a really pretty, this one came out in 2020 or 2021, and it's a really pretty gold ochre color. Okay, like I said with the other, I've got enough for all of us. I'm going to take just a little bit of that color, and what I like to do for my stamens is using a flat brush. You want it that is connected to the center of that flower. So I wouldn't want to put it over here unless it was broken, right? So I follow my stem, and I'm like, okay, it's going to go there. You can give it a little slight tilt, but you don't want it to, you know, be away from that center where it would be growing. And I'm just tapping my brush to get that shape. Okay, no need for you to put that pattern on. It's just tap it on the corner and short and stubby. And I like that the flat brush, again, along the edges is giving it a little texture. So I'm not brushing on a long oval. Tap, 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 give it that texture. Now let's rinse that brush. I'm gonna pick up my rigger. So my, a 2 or a 0, you can use a liner brush for that matter if you don't have a rigger. A rigger is just a brush that looks like a script liner, but it can go flat. Okay, so great for hand lettering. If you've ever seen Tracy Moreau do her hand lettering, it's a perfect brush for that. All right, so I'm gonna take that same brush and use some yellow light. If you don't have yellow light, any light yellow color will work, but I like the brightness in yellow light. Hansa yellow light in the media line would work. All right, now what I wanna do is I'm gonna take the ochre and the yellow light, and I'm going to start at the top, and I'm just going to tap, 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 tap. You're not going to be able to tell that much of a difference. But what I do there is I'm basically shaping up my stamen again and making sure that I have little uneven edges along the edge of that stamen. I'm going to rinse it out, pick up. I thought I heard you say Tuesday evening, but we aren't. Oh no, Carol, that's with, it's a different group. So no, we are on Tuesday at 1 and Thursday at 7 in our membership group. Okay, so a little bit of the, nope, squirrel, rinse out that brush. Little yellow light and a little bit of white. A little yellow light, a little bit of white. Okay, and then just notice I didn't sit there and mix it down to one color. I like that you're going to be able to see some yellow light and you're going to be able to see some white. Okay, and I still need to tone that down just a touch. Okay, make sure you don't have water on the ferrule. That's not a pretty thing when it happens and comes right off. So very lightly, and that is slightly wet, the color underneath it. I don't want to cover up all that color. I want some of that color to show. Okay, if you cover up too much, just use that same brush, pick up some of that ochre and tap some of it on, okay? You don't want it to be completely light. You have to have that dark base to see. I'll have to catch the end of the replay. Bye, Bev, thanks for being here. We're almost done, we're on the home stretch. All right, let's dry that now. I want to take my 1/4 inch angle brush and let's pick up a little bit of asphaltum. On the toe of that brush, I'm going to work that in. I need a little bit, oh, I have a little water right there. A little bit of water. And I want to float this down that left side just a little, very loosely. See how that makes it dimensional? Oh, I love that. Okay, and then right along the base, very lightly, very light touch, very loose float. Okay, but I want to ground that just a little bit more. So I'm going to pick up the tiniest touch of Payne's Gray, and I'm going to repeat right down. Oop, too much. I can already see it. Little Payne's Gray, right there. All right. Absolutely, Sherry. And if you share, I hope you will, like, comment, share, you're entered into the drawing for the fabulous giveaway prizes that I have. And I showed those at the beginning of the video. So if you didn't see them, you can catch that on the replay. All right, so I want to come back here. I just used that same brush, rinsed it out. I have some warm white. And I just want to tone this down just a little. Share, share, share. Share it with your painting friends. Let them know There's a free lesson. Okay. Just got that on the background. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I do see, it looks like the way I floated that color on that I have a notch or a nick, and I want to fix that. Okay, so there's our stamen. Let's take care of some shadows, and then we're going to move on to our bee. Okay, so I'm using the number 4 flat brush and Payne's Gray, tiniest touch. Work it in, make it inky, inky, inky. Aw, thank you, Faye. Thank you for the stars. I appreciate it. And like I said, if I missed anybody, I will give you a shout out later. I appreciate those stars. All right, so work that in, make it nice and inky. And then you want to test it. So I have no paper around. I'm going to test it on this book, as much as I hate to. You don't want it to be too dark. Okay, I can tell that's a little too dark. So I need a little touch more water. And when it's too dark, what I do is I get a little bit of water on my brush and I'll come over here. Okay, this is my cast shadow. So I'm going to go away from my stamen and I'm going to put that right there. Okay, I can tell it's a little too wet. Thank you. Thank you, Molly Ann. Touch my paper towel. I'm gonna pick up. I always find it's easier to use the palm of my hand than to get a paper towel. I always get into stuff. So now I wiped off all my color. It's because I'm live. Okay. So a little bit of a cast shadow from that stamen right there. And what's fantastic about this media paint, I love, love, love sharing this when I travel, when I teach. It just is it's the best for your shadows because it's transparent and I don't know, I love it. Okay, so I want to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing right down this side of my flower. I know we have the tip of the flower and the tip of the leaf. I haven't forgotten them. Okay, I want to bring not all the way around, but like on this side and down, I'll bring a little bit of a shadow. Right up underneath here. Now, I don't want to do here, so I just did right up underneath that flip. Not sure if you can see that, but then I'll come out with my shadow on this side. I'm going to bump that up just a touch so that you can see it on camera. Okay, so a little too dark, even though I said I was going to bump it up so you could see it. Okay, now with the leaf, I use the same size brush, because I don't want this to be too big. So I'll start here and I'll slide down that leaf. I'm on the background, but I'm right next to that leaf to get that. Let's zoom out just a touch. Okay, to get that shadow and all the way down. I'll say this, the only thing with this surface is it's big, it's long, and it's hard to show everything. So I'm going to touch that just slightly. My favorite part, let's go right up here. Hello, Mary. We'll have it on replay. Alrighty, so come right back up here. But when you take your cast shadow and it comes away from, see how that lifted that leaf right up off that surface? That gets me every time. I love it. It just makes me happy. Okay, now because you have a shadow on this right side, we wouldn't want to put one over on the left side. We do want to put one for our bee though, and we haven't painted the bee yet. So let me come in here. I know, in, out, sorry guys, but I want you to see it, is we can come in right up underneath the bee, and I can use a liner brush for his legs, and I will come back when we do his wings and add a little bit of a shadow. But we want to, oh, actually I could do it right now. Let's put one there and ever so slightly there. Okay, so see how he just, I mean, his wings just appeared because that shadow, right? So thank you, Peggy. I appreciate that. Okay, let's stay right down here real quick on that bee. Let's just go ahead and knock him out. So I'm going to take the liner brush, rigger brush. You can use black, but because I already had Payne's Gray, I'm going to use Payne's Gray. And when I paint my bee, I want to give him some texture. So there's his head and his little sections. And I did white where the yellow's going to go, because if we put yellow right on top of that gray, it's just going to be dull and ugly. Yellows are transparent, so you want to put something underneath to give it a little bit more opacity. And so there is our Payne's Gray. See how black and dark it looks? And then I'm going to rinse that. And we're going to pick up some, let's come over here, yellow light. Okay, let's pick up some yellow light. So in the white sections, we're going to tap the yellow, and if I brush it on, what happens is you end up with very nicely manicured arcs of color. We want there to be some, I mean, bees are fuzzy. So we're gonna tap, 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 tap. He'll look prettier if you say that in your head as you're tapping. Tap, 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 and put that on. Let's go ahead and dry that. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. All righty. And then I want to come in with my 1/4 inch angle, and we'll go to the that deep ochre. And on the toe of the brush, we'll pick up a little bit of that color. Work it in on both sides. And I want to shade his right side, but I need my hand out of the way for you. We want to shade some of that on that side of the bee, on that yellow, just to give him some more dimension. Okay, and I really could beef that up. I would say that's a wimpy float. There we go. Now let's come back to our number 4. I'm going to pick up some water, my number 4, some white paint, and I want to work that into an inky consistency. So see, that's a little too thick. A little bit more inky consistency. And we're going to sit on the corner of the brush. So I'm going to sit, push. Okay, too much water, Sandy. Touch. Let that shine go away on the top of the brush. We're going to sit on the corner. I'm going to touch, pull, lift, touch, pull, lift. We'll turn over. Get my hand out of the way. Sit on the corner, and you're sitting at the end of the wing. So you don't want to go there and pull out, because we want that nice little rounded stroke from the brush to give us that roundness on our wing. I have a little bit of a point. Hello, a little bit of a point on this one. I have a habit of, when I say it in my studio all the time, when I mess something up, or when it's like, hello. So you'll hear me say that a lot. Now come back to a liner brush or a rigger, pick up some white, and I'm going to start on the yellow, because I don't know if someone has a problem with sound. Huh. I'm sorry, Sherry, maybe go out and come back in. It might be on your end. Okay, so I don't want to start on the black, because I don't want it to be too dark. I'm going to start on the yellow, go to the yellow, go to the yellow, and then I'll come back to the black and just do a little highlight on his head. Thank you, Anne. I like the bee too. He's cute. He's smaller than the bee on my daffodil. And when I looked up what insects and things like Calla lilies, bee was one of the top. And it's usually, a take whatever from that stamen and pollinate things. Okay, now I have to tell you, and if she's still here, thank you, Carol. You turned me on to these and I love them. This Tule Art Fine Liner Pen. You can get them on Amazon. I'm not going to carry them. You can get them on Amazon. But this one is let's see what size. It's an 005. Okay. And it's very thin. It's water. You can paint over it. You can go over paint. And it just gives you a really pretty detailed line without having to get out your liner brush. Okay. So I kind of lost my legs. So I'm going to put those legs back on. I varnished over it too, and it doesn't hurt it, doesn't make it run, anything. Okay, and then I am going to very lightly just put in some little vein lines on his wings. If you get them too dark, you can simply paint a wash of white right over them, which I tend to do because I like the way it tones it down, and again, makes them look a little bit more transparent. Just paint a little wash of white. Okay. Now I am going to beef up my shadow because I think it's a little on the wimpy side for my bee. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. Again, I have noticed even on some lives that I have watched, guys, that the sound for some, all of a sudden it just goes off. So it definitely has to be on a different end than mine. Okay, so I'm just going to take some of that Payne's Gray and again just put a little bit of a cast shadow. I just want him to look like he is flying above that surface. Oh, love that. Have I said how much I love cast shadows? Okay, let's come back up here. We're going to finish two things. So right here on the back of our flip, I'm going to show you here on the original, down a little bit, there's a little bit of green right on the back end of that flip. So I'm going to use my rigger or liner brush, pick up a little bit of plantation pine, a little bit of antique green, just kind of work that in together. Thank you, Sherry. I think the bee is so cute. All right. Then right up in here, I'm just going to go right up underneath that little flip. So this goes up and over. And we just want to do a little bit of a flip right there. Okay, a little bit of a shadow, I should say, on that flip. And I need to touch it because I have water that went right down my ferrule. Kind of work that in. Just like that. Okay, and I just touch it. It's subtle, but it's there. Then I'm going to pick up just the tiniest touch of Payne's Gray. Okay. I'm being super bad about all that water on my ferrule. It is something when I'm painting here, I check often because how many times have you ruined a piece with paint going down the ferrule? All right. Just going to add a little tiny wash of that Payne's Gray just to darken it up. Touch it to soften it. Now let's go over here to our leaf. So on our leaf, remember our bright, we did plantation pine, a little bit of matcha green, little warm white. Plantation pine, matcha green, warm white. And I'm just going to mix that right there. Again, I have my rigger brush. And then I want to bring that color right from the edge and just add a tiny little highlight on that leaf. Okay. Now I'm going to back out a little because I want you to see. I didn't outline my entire leaf, but if you want to add a little bit of brightness over here, again with that inky color, you can take that rigger brush and you can add a little bit and then just swipe it slightly at an angle with your finger so it doesn't look like an outline. But if you need a brightness there, you certainly can do that. Okay, and then just swipe it with your finger. Okay, same thing up here. If I want to add a little tiny highlight there, and just swipe it down with your finger. Okay, I'm going to rinse that. I definitely want to do that here with white. And I would say this is probably the last thing we're going to do. So white, getting water and making that inky. It's an inky consistency. I'm going to check that ferrule. I've been holding tons of water today. And on this little flip, I'm going to come right down here and over. And I want to loosely outline that just a little. Okay, now I don't want it to look outlined, so I have nothing on this angle brush. I'm just going to take that and just lightly kind of swipe. So I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm just lightly swiping just a little so it doesn't look outlined. Okay, so let me zoom out, give you the whole big picture. And like I always say, I never paint anything the same twice. I think that got pretty close. There are many things about my second one that I just painted with you guys that I love even more than my first. So like I love the depth on my center. Look how much better that one is than my original. Okay. So when you follow along, like with my e-packets and stuff, I do the step-by-step pictures, step-by-step instructions. It has the line drawing in there. Come and watch the video. I think it's very helpful when you're painting it to come back and just get a refresher on what I did. And oftentimes when I'm winging it and painting with you guys, sometimes I throw in things that I don't have in the packet. So it's good to watch the lesson as well. So, softening my fingers, what a tip. It changed my painting dramatically. Great tip. Oh, Mary, that's so good to hear. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, guys, it is 5 o'clock, and that took us, what, an hour and a half because I rambled on till 3:30. Thanks for being here, guys. Again, I missed you so much. I do have some things coming up. Let me see. I have, in April, I'm going, excuse me, I'm going to, it's called, I have to cough again, sorry. It's called Creativation, NAMTA Creativation. It is a show where a lot of companies go. It used to be called CHA, and it's where companies go to launch their new products for the year. So I will be with DecoArt, excuse me, in Orlando in April. And so I have some lives. And so my Sundays in the studio with Sandy, I will have 2, and we will do the Stargazer Lily. I know we're going to do a hydrangea. I want to do a mixed media piece. I want to paint on some glass with you guys. And then this coming week and next week, I'm going to do some impromptu Facebook Lives about my membership group and showing you some things I do in my art journal. There is the pay things open on my website now. And after that launch, they will go away. So thank you, Isabel. I have the packet for this. Thank you, Katie. So thank you so much. Yes, so the packet I had, Katie, where you, when you were in Florida recently, which thank you. I loved meeting you and Estelle, seeing you again and meeting Estelle, but it's for a different calla lily. So you can just add some of the touches of color and stuff that I did on this one to go with that one. So, all right, guys, thank you. Now to basketball. Yes. Oh my gosh. Go the team from Jersey, Diane, that's beating everybody, right? How amazing is that? You love my art journal. So thank you, Henriette. I love painting an art journal. And I love my membership group. I'm very blessed. So I want to share that with you guys. And again, would love to have you guys join us. And anyway, get out those brushes, get out that paint, have fun. Remember that I'm looking at the comments too and talking. I just painted a Stargazer lily. Oh, awesome, Linda. I'm just blessed. I'm blessed that you guys are here and that you want to paint with me. Oh, hey, Peg. That's okay. It'll be on replay. And love that you guys are here to watch, and thank you for sharing and commenting, and thank you so much for those that left stars. Something that's new on Facebook, at the comment section, you can leave stars. Wish they would do that on YouTube too. I think you can buy stickers or something on YouTube. But anyway, it all helps, and I greatly appreciate it. So let me just see if there's any other little shout outs. All right. Thank you, Molly Ann. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Donna. Linda. Thank you, Judy. Thank you guys, everyone that ordered the packet. I appreciate it. Like I said, definitely we'll be back on the 3rd for the winners from this live for the 3 giveaways I have. And like, comment, share. That's all you have to do. If you have any questions at all, give me, send me an email, send me a message, let me know. And just appreciate y'all. Appreciate you being here. Have a great day. Oh, what I was saying, and I squirrel. When you start to feel aggravated, give yourself a little pep talk. Remind yourself it's supposed to be fun. There's supposed to be joy in painting, right? Denise, thank you for the stars. I greatly appreciate that. All right, guys, have a great week. Appreciate y'all. Bye.